Hey guys, so before I drop this video on Mac versus PC Smackdown, I want to just sort of rewind the clock and go over a couple things. People are asking me about the specs. So the Mac Pro is spec'd at 16 cores, which is the highest clock speed, 380 whatever gigabytes of RAM, and an 8 terabyte internal SSD drive. The PC that I've been using for a couple of years, which is a server class PC from my buddies at VisionDaw, is a 12-core, 3.0 gigahertz server class processor, Intel, and 128 gig of RAM, and a solid state drive array. So those are the tech specs for the two. But more important than that is, you know, there's a couple of different conversations that need to be had about this first. One is just cost alone. If anyone's been on the website for Apple and spec'd out your dream Mac, you know what these things cost. It's pretty ridiculous. And I'm so fortunate enough to be in a position where financially I can do that if I choose to go that way. This server class PC, which was the biggest, baddest thing you could get at the time, is basically two PCs shoved together, was $7,000, which is a lot. And you can guess how much more the Mac Pro is than that. But the thing is, in terms of raw power, I think there'll probably never be a day when Mac beats PC. I think the new Threadripper technology, you can probably put together a much faster machine for much less money than the Mac. So in some of the comments, people talking about it from a financial standpoint, totally get it, man. At the beginning of my career, there's no way I'm buying that. Are you kidding me? It's a joke. There's no way. But on a financial level, that conversation is just clearly planted in the PC department. You can build a PC out of parts for a decent one for probably $2,000, 1, 3, 5, or 7 for a monster, and the Mac Pros are, you know, double or triple that, depending on how much shit you put in it. So that's that. Number two, and I said this in the next video, is for me, it's more relevant to the Mac Pro related to the PC that I have, not what the latest greatest that's out there is. This comparison is for me. This is not, you know, my buddy Michael Whalen said, are we still having this debate, PC versus Mac? It's like, yeah, I guess we kind of are, aren't we, since we're talking about it. I get flooded with questions about it. I was in a technical job for a long time where we had 12 or 14 PCs in every writing room, and then my job was to restart PCs all day long. I mean, 24 hours a day. So I just grew to love the fact that Macs were something I could speak that language, and PCs just not. So I don't love PCs at all. But when I had my trash can Mac before this, it was the worst Mac rig I'd ever had, ever. It was just terrible. At least for me, the way I worked, and for Cubase, it was just astounding how bad it was. And so I became pragmatic. It's just a tool, which is what it is. Went to PC for the last 2 or 3 years. Works great. Performance-wise, it's great. I just don't feel creative in a PC, even though Cubase is Cubase. I get it. You know, I'm being a bit of a diva about it, but I love Mac. It makes me feel creative, and I can find my way around. You know, I work alone all the time, so if something goes wrong, for the most part, I'm fixing it by myself. So that's the backstory. On this shootout is more about me comparing the new Mac Pro to what I already have, not to what's out there. I'm sure there is bigger, better, faster, and cheaper than the Mac Pro. So that's not the debate that I'm trying to go for here. I just want to see if I can migrate back home to Mac, which is where I feel most comfortable for me. So here's my piece. Now let's check out the video where I actually do the test. All right, guys, so we're doing the real world, the Trevor test on my new Mac Pro versus my sturdy PC that has been with me for 3 years. This is the way Zimmer and I used to test things. Is basically, as soon as something new come in, we try to break it. So all you guys with your charts and all this stuff, you're very cute, and I appreciate it, but today we're gonna try to break Cubase. That's our goal. So what I've done is I set up an environment where my PC has a blank Cubase session in it. No overhead, no plugins, no nothing, not my template, just 2 tracks. I'm using the Spitfire Spiccato short strings that have nice key release for building up voices, as well as the Spitfire symphonic piano. What I've done is, if you look over here, so the ensemble, we've set the maximum voice cut to 512, and same with the Cinepiano. I'm sorry, Cinepiano, not not Spitfire, also to 512. What we did is we wrote a little short string part, nothing fancy, and increased the tempo until they both get to about the max range. So we're looking at about 1,000 voices for the two of them playing at the same time. So the reason for this was to create some sort of work contact hard, but know that it's not crapping out on its own. So if you hear distortion or whatever, the contact is doing its thing. So they're both just under 500 voices. So we do these in pairs, a string and a piano playing at 130 BPM, I think, very quickly, just a little random part I did, 16th notes. So all the contacts are the same. We duplicated these pair 14 times, or 7 pairs if you like. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna play it, we're gonna watch contact and the performance meter and see what happens. The reason I like testing things this way, I tell my assistants this all the time, is although the charts and the numbers and the CPU graphs tell you certain things, I always try to test things from the point of view of the user. That'd be me or you, the composer. That is to say, if it can't play back a contact, I don't care what the bars say or the graphs say. So we're going to test it in a real world way, which is Cubase playing a contact instrument, working it hard until we see what happens. So let me show you basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the first pair. So the strings and piano are one block. My amazing composition. I know, astounding composition, is it? So our voices are doing their thing, and here's our performance meter for Cubase. For the record, we set the buffer size to 512 with no ASIO guard on. If that makes sense. Okay, let that go. So this is my PC I've had for about 2.5, 3 years. I don't have the exact tech specs on it, but I'll give it to you. It's worth noting though, in this Mac versus PC experiment is not to prove that the Mac Pro is better than any other PC out there. I have no doubt there's a Threadripper PC badass, something that will probably kick its butt. What I'm looking for is, how does it stack up against what I'm currently using? Because this PC is strong enough to do almost any action cue I've ever done with no freezing of tracks, and it really could do everything I needed to do. So my hope was that the Mac Pro would be equivalent to, or at a perfect world better, but not worse than what I'm currently using. So if you want to know what the stacks up to against the latest Threadripper thing, then I can't help you with that. But I can help you with this versus the Mac Pro. So come over here. So this is the new beast. And again, going over here for a second, if you look at the environment, exactly the same. Blank session, 7 pairs, 14 instruments, the exact same patch, the exact same buffer, the exact same voice count, set up to be as close to a similar environment as we can. Once I do this whole test, I'm gonna let these run overnight as well. So at this point, we're looking at, obviously, the real-time peak is not as big an issue with this sort of playback, but we're hovering at 25%. Right about on the money. Let's go over to the PC real quick, see how that's doing. The same 2 tracks in the PC are, 30, 35%. The Mac was right on that line right there, and the PC is working harder. All right, so what we're gonna do is stop and unmute 2 more. So now we've got just under 2,000 voices running. So we've got short strings and piano, and then exact duplicate again. Now the performance meter is coming on 50%. That's on 4 tracks, right? So now let's do the same thing on the Mac until we break it. So over here, same thing. Same patches, same buffer, same voice count, everything. 4 tracks on the Mac. What's that? 30, 35%? So we're definitely half a block ahead of the PC with this one. Okay, let's unmute 2 more. So now we have 6 tracks, or 3 pairs of exactly the same thing running. Not quite 50%. We'll get there? No. 45%, give or take. 6 tracks, just under 6,000 voices running. So now let's duplicate that on the PC. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3 pairs. We're definitely over 50%, halfway to 75%. Whereas the Mac is right on that line. We're halfway toward the next block up. Real-time peak's working a bit harder, but. All right, back to the Mac. 7 and 8. It's not coming. 2, 4, 6, 8. $50. 60-ish, 65-ish, maybe. Okay, let's add 2 more. So this is now 8. 2, 4, 6, 8. Just call it just under 75, about 70%. With 8 tracks playing. Now, we're at the same mark with only 6 tracks playing on the PC. But let's put our 7 and 8 on. So the PC's breaking 75% with 8 tracks on. A little more. Okay, let's put on 9 and 10. So over here, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 tracks playing. Here's 75 into the yellow zone. We're not maxed, but we're not far from it. How many is that, Matt? 10? Is that what I said? Yeah? Okay. So 10 almost maxed out the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is also 10. Not even 75%. And this same amount of tracks playing has almost maxed out the PC. All right, let's go 11 and 12. Halfway up. All right, so more or less between 10 and 12,000 voices, not to be exact. So let's put 11 and 12 on the PC. And we broke it. That's pegged in the red zone, so that it can't take that. So let's put 11 tracks on. Call it 11 and a half. And it's maxed. So back to the Mac. So the Mac is playing 12 tracks with a little bit of room left to play with. The PC is playing 11 tracks. It is pegged. Just for fun, let's go 13, 14. See if we can break it. There we go. Let's take 1 off. So 13 and a half. Kind of thing. So basically what we've learned is this Mac Pro versus the PC, that the Mac Pro has about 10% more horsepower in it. We're at 11,000 voices, 11,000 and change over here, and it's pegged. And here we're at 13,500 more or less, calling it 1,000 voices a pair. So 11,500, 13,500, Same buffer settings, same patches, as apples to apples. The samplers are located on the internal SSD drives. I've done everything I can to make this as fair a shootout as possible. So for me, I'm happy. That means that I'm at least where I was from migrating from Mac to PC, making sure that Cubase as a software is doing what I wanted to do. And I got more power out of it to boot. I got 2,000 more voices, which is a lot. All right, big stream parts, so I need it. So this is the way I like to test things. If any of you guys out here have a machine you want to do this with, I'll send you my little patch here. It's just a simple stock patch and some 16th notes. I'd love to do this as a comparison test and see what you guys think. But when I saw the charts coming out in the graphs, I started laughing because Zimmer and I would never do that. We would say, okay, let's just break it. Let's see what we can do until it completely melts. I'm gonna leave both machines running around the clock in this loop overnight and come back in the morning. I'll do some CPU tests. I'll take a look at the spikes. I'll take a look at things like that, but they're analytical, they're not real. What's real for me is sitting in front of a contact and seeing how far I can push it. So again, the PC took 11 contacts at, whatever, and we got 11 and a half, and then we got 13 and a half on this one. So there you go. I think the Mac's ready for prime time. We're gonna make sure the drivers work for Catalina, and it's going in. Awesome.